Okay, let's just start right at the beginning. It starts off, and the thing I like about this movie is it's not just like a fake documentary style thing throughout the whole movie, which I was scared of going into it.
It kind of is balanced out by the cinematic aspects of it.
Because that was kind of a gimmick or like a shtick back in like during this movie. This movie came out in 2009, and there was a lot of movies that was like, oh, it's a guy holding a camera, and that's the whole movie. Yeah, you know, like that was a big thing.
Oh, definitely was.
So that kind of
Paranormal Activity. Right. There was like a lot of shit coming out.
That kind of got me nervous, you know, going into this. Yeah. But the way they do it in the beginning is actually fucking brilliant because it's kind of like this amazing reality show.
It was just tasteful
with Vicus, like because he's genuinely funny.
Oh, there's something about it. It wasn't that what he was saying was funny. It was more or less not what it was about. It was how it was about it. You know, he was just there was something about it that made what was happening kind of funny. You wanted to see where this went. And it was just kind of weird.
No, but I love it because they're kind of shooting it as a documentary. It seems like they're going into the slums of. Well, I guess let's just go back real quick.
He was a total asshole. So you have this like self-absorbed kind of asshole sitting there going, "This is a day in my life. I am Vicus Fontanerva." You know,
maybe it's his accent that's funny. Even though they're total dickheads.
Oh, hello, little sweetie. You know, it's fucking nonsense. What is coming out of this dude's mouth?
Oh yeah,
but it's still you want to like this dude. You know, it's like he doesn't seem like a bad person. Well, and then they finally get into the slums of District 9 and what's actually going on, what he was set out there to do.
So I guess we should just back up a little bit. I know, you know, most people that are listening to this probably have seen the movie, but just the basic setup is an alien spacecraft just lands, or not lands, but just is hovering over Johannesburg.
Yeah.
And
nobody knows what to do. It's there for I think a couple of months before they have the balls as the South African government, whatever the fuck that means, to go up there and explore a derelict spacecraft. Well, honestly, what would be, I mean, at least assumed is a derelict spacecraft. There's been no activity. Mm-hmm. There's been no attempt at communication, anything like that. It's just a bunch of weirdo fucking quote unquote South African like scientist dudes or whatever, or paramilitary as well, trying to break their way into this thing and see what the fuck is going on. Right. And there is no way that would happen in reality, I don't think. Like I understood they tried to ground this and make it seem like if this happened, how would that country go about it? And there is no way for a country like South Africa to accommodate a situation like that. It would be a total UN thing. It's a potential threat to every country, so NATO is getting involved. Like, it would be an international thing without question. There is no way they would leave that in the hands of fucking South Africa. So this movie is bullshit to begin
right, Jake,
with.
Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out right now. Let me save this. Let me save this podcast. No, it doesn't matter. What? It doesn't matter.
But what was cool was seeing a country with the means that obviously South Africa has trying to accommodate a situation like that and how extreme things might have to get. Like, it's almost reminiscent of a concentration camp or something like that. Like, it's a bunch...
I mean, kind of, yeah.
It's strange. It's a fucking... It's an odd movie, but what's cool is they took somebody that was likable at the beginning, like Vicus Fontanerva, and tried to make him... as you learn more about him and what he was going out there and doing in District 9 right there at the beginning, how much of an asshole this guy really was. Right. So I thought that was cool.
Oh, definitely. And it's a good setup because ultimately I think this is kind of like a redemption movie in a way.
Yeah, it feels like that.
Which I like. I'm a sucker for that stuff. And obviously I feel like this hit all the right notes for me because it's obviously a science fiction movie. It has to do with aliens coming to Earth. Like, I'm a sucker for all that shit, no matter what it is. It could have been totally cheesy, but this was...
Definitely.
a grade above that type of stuff. This isn't like your Independence Day, even though I like that as a guilty pleasure. I like that type of stuff. So you already got me there, but I was just sucked in because, like you said, Vicus is like charming, really charismatic, funny.
Right.
But at the same time, the stuff he's doing while he's there in the slums of District 9, showing people the day-to-day whatever.
Right.
There's a point where they're literally like explode. They go up to it, and this is kind of like an alien thing.
Right.
And I bet you Neil Blomkamp was definitely influenced by that. So he wanted to make like alien eggs and have like some slime. I think he's into that type of practical stuff. So
you could tell he had some influences when he was making this movie.
Oh, definitely.
And he subverted every one of them, which was cool.
In a good way, though.
Oh, definitely.
So
not in a Rian Johnson way.
But they right. But when they go into one of the houses or whatever, and there's all those eggs in there, he's just nonchalant, just goes in, and then they're basically killing all the eggs or blowing up the babies in there.
The abortion part of it,
and they're lighting it on fire or whatever they're doing, and it's exploding. And it's kind of played off as a joke to him because he really doesn't care. This is his job.
Right.
He doesn't see these. Obviously, they're not human. There's a lot you could say about that.
They're lower beings than himself in his eyes, which is bizarre because they're a race of beings that come from the stars. So there's something above him in a literal way, not just a physical whatever. Like literally. These are things that come from somewhere else and come to here, but they're so beneath what a human being is in their eyes that it's not. Why treat them like you were going in and evicting a bunch of human beings? These aren't human beings you're evicting from their homes. They're a bunch of creatures, a bunch of prawns. You fucking prawns.
Yeah. And I think it's his accent is, but I mean, he's fucking great in this. What's his name?
I have no idea what it is.
Chartlo Copley or something?
His name is Vicus van den Nerva.
But the other thing I love about this movie is how real everything looks. And it's also kind of jarring when you see these real environments and these slums. And then you just see these, this goes back all the way back to like the first Star Wars, the first Star Wars movie, because you see all this weird technology and stuff, but it's also like kind of grounded. I hate that word now, but back in the day it was good, like grounded in a reality where, I don't know, like the stuff is dirty. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, and it looks lived in, and it's
right.
You know what I'm talking about?
It just looks inhabited,
right?
Yeah.
And they nailed that with this movie because it does look like a real documentary. Even they interviewed little kids, and you have that little kid saying like, "Oh, it just came from up in the sky," and he's like really going for it. I love that. I love that mockumentary stuff. This is like science fiction fucking Spinal Tap in the beginning, which is great.
I agree. What was cool too is so when they finally get the main character, what the hell is the main alien? I can't remember.
Yeah, I you know what?
Whatever the hell he is. The
Jake
main,
and I have had a couple beers, but
the main shrimp guy, the prawn guy.
Well, the main prawn with his kid, the
shrimp alien guy.
Yeah.
He they make it seem like it's a trap house, that every alien fucking domicile, I guess you would want to call it, is just, it looks like a trap house, a fucking crack house, and his looks like a laboratory. So that's like the meth fucking trap house they have there out in the fucking District 9, but their equivalent is like trying to come up with enough the alien fluid to the spacecraft thing. It's just fucking bizarre.
What do they basically have to get more fuel because underneath their house is like one of the ships that can go actually up to the like the mothership,
right,
to actually leave the planet.
So my question is why wouldn't they be smart enough to like hijack a helicopter to take them up into the fucking spacecraft that's only 300 yards?
I would mark it up to there's such a divide between their society and then like the humans obviously live on Earth that they don't even know. They see these helicopters, like I wouldn't even know how to.
But look at their technology.
No, I know, but it's like this is so primitive that they don't even know what's going on.
But
so I can kind of see that.
So,
I get it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you because the only one that exhibited kind of common sense to me was that main alien. Like he understood that he had to get from point A to point B to get to point C, and he had some kind of plan where the rest of them kind of felt aimless and eating out of fucking dumpsters and stupid shit like that, kind of primitive and only worried about sustenance and whatever, accommodation. They're kind of barbaric in a weird way, where the main aliens that we have in this movie that actually end up working with Vicus and all that shit were kind of more, they had more human aspects to them or stuff we could recognize.
It's just different personalities.
But they had more common sense, I guess, is my point.
Yeah, like that, the main alien with his kid, he's more, I don't know, hardened by what's going on. He's a little bit smarter than the rest of the prawns, to be honest. Like, it goes both ways. No, I mean both. Like the main.
They're the main guy. Prawn. Yeah, well, but it's only because he exhibited.
Look
common
that up
sense.
real quick. See if there's a name because I forget the name of it. And
I think
obviously,
it's George.
Obviously, that this tugs at your heartstrings because he's got a little kid.
Right.
It's a cute little alien baby. I love that shit, and they won me over immediately. And this is probably the best, for real. Like, to make this story work.
Right.
This adds a little bit of heart into it because, you got this prawn who's very smart. And he has a kid that he's looking after. He's a single parent. And I love Vicus coming into contact with them because that kind of... You know what this reminds me of, to be honest? American History X when no, for real,
when he puts the dude's jaw on the curb. Is that what it reminds you of?
No. When Edward Norton goes to jail and he's like kind of forced to do work with this other black guy, and obviously he was a neo-Nazi, so he was like racist and stuff. And then from being in jail with him and living with him, they become like really good friends. And like that is like
I said I dropped the TV on his foot.
No, but for real though, like that's the same type of thing. And if that's done well in a movie, you can really bring out some of
it's a different dynamic. It's a different
dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And it's the same way with Vicus because he's just like a dickhead guy. Like, he is the bad guy right now. And then when he comes into contact with this prawn and his son and they start to develop a relationship,
right?
That's the best part about movies like this because there's a redemption element where he's like, you're a fucking dickhead and I don't really like you, but you're willing to help us because you're turning into one of us.
Dude, you're not wrong.
And like, I got to help you, you got to help me, but they actually do have respect for each other, and it kind of it grows, as the movie goes on, just the right amount. And I've seen a lot of movies where they try to do that, where it's like, oh, I'm a guy that hates everybody, and it's like he'll come around,
right,
and then they come around immediately, and it doesn't feel earned,
right.
But this movie does it perfectly. Like,
no, I agree. So what was interesting about Vicus is it was just a guy trying to reconcile his situation. I don't think he was really a different person by the end of this movie than he was from the beginning of this movie. I just think instead of his more negative aspects, like what were at the beginning, were diminished by the end of the movie because he was forced to reconcile his situation and kind of deal with his circumstances, which were bizarre and fucked up, and nobody really knows how anybody would deal with something like that. He's being transformed into an alien by the end of this, or one of these things that he thinks so. He doesn't think much of them. They're just creatures in his eyes. But what's cool about the alien is it's about his relationship to everything around him, as opposed to Vicus. So you had these two things working in tandem with each other. Like, the alien was more focused on, you had his dynamic and his relationship with his son. You had it with the other alien at the beginning that gets shot because he tries to stand up up to Vicus and the rest of the fucking goon squad or whatever. And then just himself and the planet he found himself on and the planet he's trying to get to. So what's the dynamic between him and his circumstances as opposed to what he's trying to actually achieve in the long run by his bullshit 20-year plan that he could have just got a helicopter and solved. That's not my problem. That's his. But he's a retard, I guess. But I don't know. It's interesting. But what was cool about it too was they went through this whole thing where it's Vicus talking to all the prawns, as he's going through evicting them, kind of hut by hut or however you want to do it. And the main alien was the only one that knew what the word eviction meant.
Right.
When he was finally saying, "We're evicting you for what?" As opposed to, I don't know what that means or something like that. So that was kind of cool. You understood that you were dealing with something that was a little sharper than the rest of what he was dealing with. But that also doesn't make sense because there were millions of them on an alien spacecraft. Millions of these things, apparently. And they needed fucking permits and shit like that, I guess, to reproduce on Earth. So there had to be a lot of them when they landed there or they were hovering over Johannesburg. What the fuck is going on? Like, you guys got from some civilized civilization or whatever, something like that originally. There's no way you guys are just a bunch of creatures when you show up here. It's not like dealing with xenomorphs or anything like that. Like, these are intelligent things that are capable of communication in their own way, or at least in a way that we somewhat understand, unlike xenomorphs or weird shit like that. Mm-hmm. Why did it come to this? It's just a weird plot, but it works in a strange way. It's a cool movie.
All right, so let's talk about when this movie takes a drastic turn, and that is towards the end of Vicus, going into District 9, doing his little interview documentary type shit.
It kind of turns in.
It's like a news fucking
procedural
cast.
Almost.
Yeah, right.
Like he's just going through the motions. This is the job. This is the task, and he's just going to town on it. And then it does change. It turns into a completely different movie.
And I love that because I was worried, like I said before, that this was just going to turn into it's like a found footage, whatever. Like, that's boring. But they. Neil Blomkamp was really smart with this. And so he goes into one of the houses and, they're investigating some sort of shit or whatever. And he ends up spraying something into his face.
Right. He goes into the prawn meth lab.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fucking bullshit backwoods laboratory they got going on here. Fucking Dexter's Lab shit.
Yeah. And he sprays it into his face and he's a little freaked out at first, but you're meant to believe that, whatever, like, nothing's wrong. And then there's a cool scene, and this is where I'm going to bring up another influence, because we were talking about, like, he was obviously influenced by aliens or whatever, Alien and Aliens.
For sure.
Then it gets into more Cronenberg territory.
Yes.
Right?
Definitely does.
Because then he starts realizing that, okay, that whatever got sprayed into my face is affecting me. Because he's eating a cheeseburger, and then there's, like, this black goo coming out of his, nose.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really weird. And then he's doing paperwork, and his nail falls off. And that's like something from The Fly.
Just body horror.
Right, which is why I bring up Cronenberg. So
no, definitely. Even that whole transition, when Goldblum was going through his transition. I know we're not here to talk about that, but he was going through his transition.
What are you, Macho Man?
That's it. But it totally goes into like fucking Cronenberg just territory. It turns into a procedural kind of paranormal activity style just because of the found footage aspect of it into a more cinematic Cronenberg type of thing for at least the next 45 minutes until it turns into a fucking action movie.
I know, and I love those three stages of that. That's what's great about it, because you can do the documentary style in the beginning, but you can't. If they did that throughout, I don't think it would have worked.
No.
But I love, like you just said, that's basically 3 stages of it. I never really thought of it that way, because it is that, and then it's like the Cronenberg body horror stuff, and then it kind of turns into like a feature film.
Right. Just totally cinematic the whole time.
But it's seamless. It kind of, you don't notice it at first when you first watch it. You just kind of go along for the ride.
Yeah.
But watching it now, it's you can see that there's different. There's like a point. You can probably pinpoint the minutes. Like it's transitioning into this part.
Yeah. So it's kind of like science fiction, paranormal activity, or whatever. That style turns into Cronenberg, The Fly, and then after that, it's Aliens 2 or Alien 2 or Aliens, whatever. Dude, I'm on my 9th beer. Give me a break.
Ah, it's all right. This is what people listen to it for. Oh, he's cracking one. We got to get that every time. Now, this is cool too. This is like classic storytelling because you have I forget the name of his wife. So you got Vicus's wife.
Yeah, the blonde one.
Would you do her?
Probably.
Yeah.
At 9 beers, definitely.
So the whole thing is, her dad is in charge of. He's basically like the head of the. If you want to look at them as the bad guys.
Yeah, he's a Gestapo. He's the head Gestapo.
Right, and he probably gave him his job.
Yep.
And
he definitely gave him his job.
But now he knows at this point, because we're talking about his body's changing. They're trying to do experiments on him and shit. He knows this is happening, and there's a scene where he's talking to his daughter,
right?
Just basically lying and saying like, "Oh, we don't know where he is or whatever."
I have no idea what is happening right now with you, daughter.
And it's really great though because it's not like a blockbuster movie type of thing. Like there are elements of that just within the storytelling. Like it could go that way.
That's only because it's transitioning from the found footage kind of feel into the more cinematic thing, which is what's happening when he's trying to escape the hospital in general. It has the found footage security tape kind of thing with the cinematic the actual story points or whatever. We're not here to talk about the transitions.
But anyway, so the cool thing about the, his body change. So whatever was sprayed into his face, for whatever reason, it's literally turning him into one of the prawns. And the cool thing is, you can see it in the beginning. There's a little callback. It's a setup and a payoff, like we've been talking about with other movies, like setup payoffs. You see a little bit of footage in probably like the first 20 minutes of this movie of, and it's cool too because it's kind of like handheld, like VHS type footage,
right,
of people trying to use the aliens' weapons, and they can't. They're trying to pull the trigger. They can't pull the trigger.
Yeah, there's something about
it's
their
not
DNA
working, right?
Is not accommodating.
So once they find out that he is basically turning into one of them, one of his hands, that's the first thing to kind of morph into one of the prawns. Like he basically has like a prawn hand,
right?
So the first thing they do is put his hand on the gun and they force him to fucking kill, one of the prawns or whatever.
Right, which seems like a very human thing to try and make something do.
And it's horrifying too, and the way it's shot too. I don't know why it reminds me of RoboCop for some reason.
Yeah.
Like with the Ed 209, like just like the footage of that shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just reminds me of that, which is I'm sure that was an influence as well.
Probably. If it kind of yeah.
But I love this because then that's the turnaround where he breaks out of it. He fucking holds one of the guys hostage and he gets the fuck out of there. And now here's the thing. He went from being a part of that system to now he's all on his own. None of these guys want anything to do with him.
Right.
He got fucked up. That's it. Now, who do you think is the only person, whatever, alien, who's the only one that's going to fucking let him in and hear him out? That fucking really smart prawn with the kid.
But, all right, so that's definitely a thing. So when the prawn finally sees the alien hand, when he realizes what's actually going on, because he recognizes the dickhead that is Vicus von der Nerva. And he sees the
I love that drunk slur of the last name.
Von der Nerva. Whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah.
And he understands what's happening as soon as he sees that. So obviously there's been some whatever congestion or he's absorbed some form of this fuel that's turning his DNA into their DNA, which really kind of doesn't make sense. And it does. It's like gasoline wouldn't turn them into a human. You know what I mean? But so there had to be a precedent with that liquid and what it can do to things or living creatures in that creature's mind, which is interesting.
Yeah, do you think he knows what it was? Yeah, I like the mystery of it. It's just like, you know what? Never ever explain that. Even if they do a sequel, just never explain it.
He was so concerned with just getting back to a ship that is clearly 350 to 400 yards over the surface of the Earth that he could have used a helicopter to get to. Instead of taking 20 years to gather fuel to do it, it makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Unless that was some kind of control module, which, if that's the case, then that's just a bullshit writing thing. It makes no fucking sense. There's no way you're going to drop the whole control module of a ship like that into some random... what the fuck? I don't know. It's kind of weird. But what's funny is how quickly... the alien is willing to accept Vicus after he realizes what's going on and how desperate Vicus actually is.
Well, I think that's why he's not as, up in arms at first, is because he knows he's just a fucking idiot. He's not really... He really can't do any damage by himself without...
No.
Because, in the beginning of this, he was with a bunch of guys with automatic rifles and all this shit. Now he's just a guy.
Right.
So he kind of takes advantage of that, and they kind of hear each other out. And I like that. I like the it's obviously not perfect at the beginning, but it's great. I love that little, like, I always like that shit. I love two people or alien and human, whatever you want to say. Like,
right.
I love when they first get together and they're like, I should hate you right now. And then it's like, because that's a basic human thing.
Yeah.
It's like, you could hate someone forever, right? And you never know them. And you could sit in a room with them and talk to them for 20 minutes. And there's a chance that you'd be like, I don't even know why I hate you. We're just like two guys. We could just talk.
Yeah, we could just have a conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
And that kind of is what this reminds me of.
No, I
on a different level, obviously, because it's like an alien from a different planet.
Yeah, no, it's a thing.
And a human.
What's funny is how... So Vicus is really one of the most dangerous people on the face of the planet after he starts this transitioning into this alien. Like, he has access to all this weaponry. He can wear the crazy armor like he wears in the last, part of the movie and all that shit. Like, and he looks like he's a human. So he could actually do some real damage to whatever system he's actually trying to go ahead and whatever get the fuel
that's
back
what I think that's what they underestimate.
But he's such a fucking coward.
No, but that's a great thing too, because he is kind of a coward in the beginning, and he really is a piece of shit. But
he's an asshole.
But that's great though. Like, you can't start him out as a good guy. This wouldn't work. You know what I mean? The story wouldn't work.
The sweetie man.
The sweetie man. That's hysterical, dude. And he's also, it helps that he's fucking hilarious.
Oh, he is funny as fuck, dude.
But it doesn't go overboard. You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't.
And that's what I like about this movie. Like, not to date this podcast, but you get like a Taika Waititi bullshit like Thor movie, and it's just like joke after joke after joke.
And I like stuff like that. That's only because I'm jokey. I have a dry sense of humor.
Yeah,
so
but it's
I
like
it.
At a point you're like, all right,
enough is enough.
Like, are there any stakes to this movie? And there's a great balance in this of he's very funny, and witty
Vicky,
and all that shit, but it doesn't overshadow the seriousness of the
plot,
and
what's
going on, and like the body horror. Like, we're watching it right now. Like, he's losing his teeth. You know what I mean? It's just like every day there's something new. Like, his hair is falling out.
I mean, I would rest assured, at least he's losing everything two at a time, it seems like. It's 2 fingernails, it's 2 teeth,
Yeah, right. And it's also heartbreaking, too, because it's not like they presented him as this fucking guy that was, like, cheating on his wife or anything. He just was kind of a dickhead in the beginning.
He was a simple fuck that was just doing his job.
And now he's trying to call his wife, and she doesn't know what to believe because her dad's putting stuff in her ear, and he's on the run because he's literally turning into a prawn.
Right.
It's fucking honestly, it all works. Everything works.
So my question is if he was turning into an alien, imagine if his wife took him back and he was really halfway through this transition. Would he still try and fuck his wife?
Yeah, I'm sure, man. Probably be better.
But that would make her a fucked up person, right?
Yeah.
If she would like,
you know what? She seems like a good girl. She would probably accept him for,
excellent.
Whoever he is, even if he turns into a full-on fucking alien.
I just like how much advice she seems to take from her father. Like it's such a almost like fascist kind of structure.
Well, you know what? I think she's kind of clueless. Like she doesn't know who to believe. She's probably grown up with her father her whole. Well, probably she has, and so she's gonna hear him out with what he's saying, and that's fucked up on his part because he's really feeding her a line.
But imagine if your father-in-law showed up to your wife's house, and it was just like all the time. It was just like, you know what, Ron is not going to show up anymore. You have to accept that. We just have to move on, honey. We just have to move on. That wouldn't be weird to your wife. That
Kim would be like, yeah, it's probably
you know what? Hey, we're just gonna have to move forward. I think you're right.
Like his wife was,
She was
I don't
distraught.
know. I don't believe you. She's crying.
What is
Kim would be like, it's probably bad.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, we're just gonna have to move on. You're right.
And I'm like, yo, what the fuck?
What? You show up.
Yeah.
But it's a thing, man. I don't know. So there's this basic logic thing going on with this movie, but at the same time, it's so interesting and it subverts so many interesting things that we've seen just over the years, 80s movies, 90s movies we love. And it kind of turns it on its head and makes it interesting again.
And I'll just say this before I forget, because we'll probably get too drunk at the end of this, but
most likely.
I really love his sense of design. I really like his design work, because I remember when I was seeing this, it wasn't like, I don't want to go so far to say it's like this groundbreaking thing, but
no,
when I watched it, I remember looking at the designs of the aliens and the the weaponry and all that shit in the ship, and I was like, wow, that's actually really unique. I haven't seen that in other movies.
So
that's like his vision, which is what we needed back then. I just wish he didn't do his own. You know what? This sounds weird because I would usually advocate for it, but I wish he did this movie. And then there was, back in the day, if anybody remembers, he was supposed to do fucking Halo.
Yeah.
Right after this. Peter Jackson was going to produce that too, I'm pretty sure. That would have been fucking amazing if he was like on this creative role. I don't know what happened.
Well, what's funny is, and I can get argued about this, like, and I wouldn't blame anybody for arguing with me about this. It kind of feels like a James Cameron approach, like early James Cameron. Like he had Terminator, and then he did Aliens, and it seems like Neil Blomkamp was a guy that made his Aliens, but he didn't have a chance to make his Terminator, so there was no real context there, and so we haven't really seen what did he do after this? Fucking Chappie? Go fuck yourself. Diane.
No, it was Elysium first.
Oh, Elysium. I haven't seen that one yet.
Okay. We might do a commentary.
We might have to do a commentary or a review on after.
We might do something.
All right.
All right, I'll tell you what. But if more than, we're at an early stage with this channel. If more than 2 people comment on this video and say do a commentary to Elysium, we'll do it.
Yeah, we'll do it. But no, it kind of felt like early James Cameron. It was more experimental. It was an interesting story. It was choppy enough, not choppy in a negative way, but like tight enough as a movie to I don't know. It felt like a James Cameron movie to me. So Vicus is finally getting to a point where he's freaking out about what's going on. He can't really commit to anything, and he is confronted with the possibility of like a cure or something along those lines, which is total bullshit. Which I kind of like about the dynamic between Vicus and the main alien dude that I still don't know who the fuck that is. The main shrimp guy, the prawn,
right?
And you could tell the prawn is really only trying to accommodate Vicus, to the point where it gets him to his ultimate goal of getting back to the spacecraft that's over Johannesburg, as opposed to anything else. So it's just him feeding Vicus a bunch of bullshit to get him to do what he wants to do, to get him out of a situation.
Is that really how you're reading it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you could tell, like, it gets to the end, and I don't think there really is a cure for what Vicus has. It's more him, more or less, reconciling his circumstances, kind of like what the alien has had to do over the past 20 years. It's just like, it is what it is. I don't have this medical bay that can fix you. I just have the possibility of you helping me get the fuel that I acquired for some strange reason, because I don't realize helicopters exist unless they're shooting at me.
To fucking go back to my helicopters exist.
It's bullshit. He's supposed to be super smart. They have this spacecraft.
Well, he is smart.
No, it's just nonsense. They know. It's a weird logic thing, but that's not my point at all. It's his relationship to Vicus by the second act into the third act kind of a thing. It's really starting to change at a certain point, especially when he introduces like the control module or whatever it is that eventually goes up into the craft and helps him take him away, or whatever the fuck. It's kind of weird, but I don't know.
Dude,
it's cool.
I gotta say again though, I just really love the relationship between these three characters.
It's cool. It is cool.
It's fucking this is what makes the movie work. Like you can put cool designs in it. You could make it look cool.
Yeah. And
have cool characters. But if this relationship between these characters doesn't work, then the movie doesn't work.
True.
And it's just kind of like every once in a while, like I know it's probably hard to make a movie, but I feel like every once in a while there's just like lightning in a bottle.
Oh,
where something fucking amazing happens.
Yeah.
And dude, you still have the body horror towards the end where like
it's
he's really transforming and he's in a lot of pain too.
Yeah, he's turning into the Fly.
And it's kind of like, when you're like drunk the next day and you're like hungover.
Yes, I do, Ron. Yes,
have you ever felt that feeling?
I have experienced that. Yes, I am
just
a hardworking man. Yes,
and then the booze kind of turns on you. You get a little emotional. And you're like, "Oh my god, I just want to where's my wife?" And that is Vicus. He's like,
"Yes, where is she? I sent a little sweetie man."
Oh my god, I'm sorry for everything I did. Yeah, that's definitely like what he's going through. Right now,
definitely.
But it's cool, though, because, you know what? It's a redemption story because when shit hits the fan at the end, and like you were saying before, it turns into an action movie.
Yeah.
That's when he goes into full, and this is what I was talking about with the relationship between the aliens. He knows that guy has a kid or whatever. He fucking gets into that full mech suit. Like, I'm going to fucking fight for you guys because, now I'm your bro.
But do you
think... Jake, honestly, if people were coming after you and I had a mech suit out here, I'd get into it and start shooting at them. Like, Jake, run away, bro. Get out of here.
Rana, I really appreciate
that. Thank you.
I really appreciate that.
Nice.
But do you think
I think we're more drunk than the fucking Force Awakens.
Oh, we might be, honestly. I mean,
no.
I started quite a few deep on this one. But... do you think he really changes as a character in terms of whatever?
Absolutely.
As a person,
absolutely.
But before he realizes he was defeated and after he lost and he was going to turn into this thing, or before? Because I think it was disingenuous before and he was full of shit, just like the alien was. Where the alien really didn't have a way to fix him, but he was trying to use Vicus to get what he wanted. And I think Vicus was kind of in the same boat, where he was just trying to get fixed and accommodating the alien to get what he wanted. And that was the dynamic between the two until Vicus ended up, getting the shit kicked out of him. Well, don't get me wrong, he did some damage. But he's inevitably defeated in his own mind as well because he turns into this creature And I think that's the moment when he might have changed. I think before that was kind of bullshit. He was just trying to suit his circumstances.
Right.
Which was interesting about the character. Like, they're totally flawed, the both of them. And that's what makes them relatable.
Dude, the scene when... Dude, it's so fucking good, actually. It's really good till the end. Where the little kid is asking the father questions.
Right.
But what I love is how many fucking moons do we have? And I love it's very interesting. He goes, 7. And he's like, this planet only has 1.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the kid's like, I want to go home. Can we go home now? And you feel for this little kid. Yeah. He wants to go home to his real planet. He's like, it's got to be better than this shithole, you know? And it's cool because you could see Vicus is there too, and he wants to help them now. And honestly, all the shit that you were just saying too, I get it, because obviously there is a little bit of selfishness in there. Because if you're turning into an alien, who are you going to trust other than one of the fucking aliens that's willing actually to help you?
Well, that's just as desperate.
That's human nature.
They are.
It's human nature, but what I'm saying is later on in the movie, him sacrificing his life, you know, because fighting the guys, that's when it takes. I know, but that's when it takes it back to then he is a good guy. You know what I mean? Because like deep down, I'm saying, like
but I think he was one of the few good guys that was really a good guy only after he was defeated. You know, like
but I mean, sometimes that's what it takes.
But it took defeat for him to realize, his selfishness was at an end. Like you had no reason to be that. You were going to turn into this. That is it. There is no home. The other alien guy isn't coming back for, what did they say, 3 years? I don't know. It's strange. It's kind of left up to interpretation, and I kind of like that.
Oh, here's the thing, Jake. When you were talking about Predator 2 before, I didn't know what you were talking about, and then I realized that there is that one scene where they're doing like sacrifices and shit, and like whatever, like the lady's like doing a ritual
total
thing.
Voodoo shit.
Yes. So now I know it. I get.
That's what it reminded me of. Absolutely. It's like, what is up with that freaking gang they meet there?
It's awesome. Everything in this movie is awesome. I'm sorry.
But everything
I love like the prawns like wearing like bras and shit. They don't know what they're doing.
Figure shit out.
That's what I mean. There's like subtle humor in this, but it's not, like I said, it's not overbearing. It doesn't get in the way of what is happening in the
There was a cool aspect to it, but it felt like it took that left turn like Predator 2 did with like the crazy Jamaican or what Haitian the voodoo gang they had there. It's like, I understand.
Well, that's why you brought it up in the first place.
I understand there are gangs, but I don't understand why it has to be so extreme where it's specifically a voodoo gang. You know, like that's insane to me. That's bizarre. And this movie kind of felt like that, where like, oh yeah, we have a random group of crazy fucking humans that are practically barbaric,
right?
And it felt very Predator 2 to me. You know?
No, I totally understand that, and I get what you're saying now, but
it's absurd. It's totally absurd.
There's just crazy shit, and you know what? You know what else that I just thought of, and I don't think Blomkamp had this in mind, but the weapons only being used by the hands of the aliens is actually a Judge Dredd thing too, because
the DNA aspect of it.
Yeah, it's just like the lawgivers or whatever, like the guns in the Judge Dredd universe.
I'm not really that familiar with Judge Dredd, so a rudimentary thing. So like, how does it work?
All right, so the thing is, it's only built into all their guns, like all the judges.
Okay.
If a civilian picks it up, like if they got in a skirmish, let's say, and they're on the ground, and a civilian picked up their gun and pointed it at them and tried to pull the trigger, once they tried to pull the trigger, it would just self-destruct and just blow them up.
Oh, damn. That's awesome.
So at least in this, like, they just can't use it. Dude, they can't use the gun.
I have to read Judge Dredd.
Fucking Judge Dredd is, like, probably one of my favorite things.
It's like Brian Bolland, right?
Well, I mean, he was the artist on a lot of it, but I have the whole fucking ball in.
That's a conversation.
It's
for another
so good.
day.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. That shit is.
I'm not familiar.
Deep in my heart. That is my shit.
All
but
right.
Anyway, District 9. Yeah, so this is one of my favorite things, honestly, because we've been talking about the relationship between all of them like this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And when they finally break into the whatever the corporation or whatever you want to call it.
The siege or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I fucking love it because they're just like I just like this unlikely duo, going in.
Completely unlikely.
Yeah. And the whole moment is going really well. They're breaking in, everything's going according to plan, and then he sees that his own people have been experimented on.
Right.
And that's a really high tension moment.
But isn't that retarded? Because there's all this shit going on. This is the moment that's going to pay off. You're in there. You have a task. You have a goal ahead of you, and you see some Joseph Mengele fucking Auschwitz shit going on, like people being dissected, experimented on, that kind of thing, and you just shut down as a person. There's a Clint Eastwood fucking firefight going on around you. And you just shut down. It's like, oh my God, my people are being tortured and dismembered, and I'm just lost in my fucking. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with this dude right now? Because he's super practical. They try. I think amplify that, or not amplify. That's not the correct word, but draw attention to that through the whole movie. It's like, oh, I can't carry this black canister of goo that took 20 years because I don't know helicopters exist. And you need to hold on to it. I need to get away so I can have access to this so we can get out of here and accomplish our task of getting to our home planet and pretty much waging war on humanity because of how fucking shitty we are to everything the fuck else that exists, apparently. But I don't know. It's bizarre. He shuts down until he realizes, it's like, oh, do it for your kid. And then he turns into a thinking being again and joins the fight. And he doesn't know what the fuck to do.
I mean, I get it, though.
But they leave it up to Vicus, who's fucking an office twerp who doesn't know his ass from his elbow, to lead the siege and get him the fuck out of there. You would think, as somebody that's, well, at least I think is as high in the hierarchy in terms of the prawns that are on this planet, I mean, you'd think he'd be a little smarter in those types of situations, high tension situations. And he's really kind of not. Like, he's functional until he shuts down, and then he's useless, which plenty of people I'm sure work with at their own jobs and have people like that work with them. But it's weird in this situation because of how functional he seems until he gets to that point. And it kind of goes from 2 to 10 from the rest of this movie. They transition, they're going back to District 9, and all this crazy shit's happening. I don't know. It's kind of strange.
Well, here's the thing, too. They established that the lead, military guy, you know, right, what I mean? In the beginning, that shoots the one prawn in the head in the beginning.
Angry bald guy.
Right, yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like angry bald guy. You know he's going to be a problem towards the end because he's following them back to District 9. So, he's in the helicopter or whatever.
Yep.
I liked all that shit, and I love the ticking time, whatever bullshit with Vicus and the alien and his kid. Yeah, 3 years. That's so fucking funny, man. It's like it's almost like it tried to set up a sequel.
Yes, that's what they were going for, I think, because that's how I interpreted it as well. But obviously, they kind of didn't deliver.
But here's the thing: if there's
3 years, I promise.
Here's the thing: this prawn is really smart, and if there's a fucking contraption or whatever it was that sprayed Vicus in the face and he started turning into a prawn, then they definitely have some fucking technology that turns him back into a human.
Oh, yeah.
So the way he's so convincingly saying that so. he's so convincing when he said in 3 years I'll change you back, I'll fix you.
No, he said in 3 years I'm going to bring something back that's going to confront humanity in my point. Like, no, not in 3 years I'll fix you. That'll fix his problem that he has with humanity in the next 3 years. Not his problem that he's dealing with his humanity, Vicus, I mean, because he's turning into a fucking alien. No way. It was just to accommodate his needs in my eyes. I don't know if this is for sure or whatever. This is my interpretation. But, like, literally, they were both using each other to get what they wanted. The alien had no way of fixing Vicus just because he recognized that. He was just trying to use him because he knew he lost the fuel he needed to get the control module back up into the derelict spacecraft.
So they're basically just both using each other.
Yes.
And you know what? It makes sense because I forgot that Vicus actually fucking knocks him out again.
Right.
And goes down.
Total fucking asshole.
Oh my goodness.
That's it. It's just like, fuck you. I want to get out of here. Use little sweetie man to help me with medical pod. You know, like,
dude, honestly though, here's the thing though, like that's what kind of separates this movie from the rest of them.
What, that it's interesting?
Well, yeah. What I'm saying, like we're going back and forth on like the morality between all the characters.
Definitely.
Like, when's the last time in anything new that you've been fucking watching that you're like, whoa, we can like discuss this and talk about it?
No, not too many. Honestly,
if we were talking about a new movie right now, we'd just be like, all right, hey, welcome everybody, it's Ron, and here's Jake, and what did you think about this? He's like, it was shit. I'm like,
what
yeah,
did
it was
you
shit.
think about Kenobi?
He was like, oh, it was shit. Oh, yeah, it was shit.
It was pretty bad.
And then we just go, all right, we'll see you next time. Peace out.
Next time.
But yeah, the cool thing is, and I love that, dude, I fucking love that, you know, he has the hand so he can control some of their technology because he's turning into one of them.
It's got his DNA, yeah.
I love that it's just like a pool of goo. Like, that's what starts the spacecraft. Like, stick your hand into this fucking silly putty, and you know that'll start the aircraft.
Yeah, that's kind of animated, right?
I love that.
What's funny though is like, in the time it takes for Vicus to control the ship and actually kind of start to take off, wherever he was going back into the spacecraft, instead of the mothership or whatever the fuck. Like, it had to be like the bald guy had the 9mm in the alien's face for like 10 minutes before he was like, I'm gonna kill you. You just, I'm gonna fucking kill you. It's like, what?
I'll wait until Vicus figures out how to launch the spacecraft.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like, it works for the story. That's like, it's total nuts. He's totally angry at this.
But then, you know, their technology, like, they shoot it down, right? So then that's what causes the whole, you know.
Which, that doesn't make sense. That has to be $1 million machine right there. It's like, you couldn't maybe put a fresh source of water somewhere nearby for these people to drink in a nearby area. Like, that's a lot of money. That's another thing that makes this movie bullshit. They don't have that military capability. No fucking way.
So if you think about it though, like all the shit I was saying about his character turn, you know, like Vicus being a dickhead, then he kind of comes around. You know what? Honestly, it doesn't come around for real until he gets shot down right here.
Well, yeah.
Like, gets shot down in the alien ship, and the prawn is, you know, he's basically, you know, being arrested.
Well, that's what I was bringing up before. Like, Vicus doesn't really turn into a good person until he's defeated. He, like, when Vicus knows he lost, what he was trying to accomplish is kind of over, and he has to come up with another plan. That's when he becomes a halfway decent human being. Before then, he was just somebody trying to get what he wanted, somebody to accommodate his circumstances, knew what was going on was fucked up. And before that, he was a total douchebag. But he was funny and he was kind of charismatic, so we wanted to, you know, kind of root for him. Like, we knew he was the main guy.
It's very complicated.
It is kind of a complicated thing, but it's amusing. I don't know. I find it to be amusing. That's what makes the movie work for me.
No, dude, it's awesome. And I don't know. I mean, the people that he's working for are obviously worse, which kind of helps. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yes.
Like his wife's dad, and you know, this military guy and all that shit.
The rest of the Gestapo,
they're way worse, and he's just kind of like, no pun intended, but he's not a prawn. He's a pawn. He is a pawn. He's just a fucking working man. Like, he's just one of the, Yeah. He's a fucking sheep. Like, sheep for the system.
Yeah.
But it takes, basically, it takes him being turned into a fucking alien to realize, like, these people are fucking assholes. And I'm going to do something about it. And honestly, it does take until this moment, for him to step up and be like, you know what? I'm going to do what's right.
No, but that was only the second time in his life you could tell he ever decided to fight back. Mm-hmm. This wasn't the moment of truth for Vicus. It's after this. This is the first moment in his life, I think, where he had to realize he had to man up and fight for what he wanted to do.
And everybody has that moment in their lives.
But after this, like, when the man finally decides that, I'm going to step up, I'm going to try and fight for what I think, but you realize you lost that battle. That's when Vicus actually turns into a good person. Or a person. Because before that, it was typical fucking bullshit.
Right.
It was selfish. Just like the alien, though. I think at a certain point, the alien ends up going back. You know what I mean? And they have that whole thing.
Well, I mean, the alien says it in the beginning. He's like, no matter what, like, if I get up into the spacecraft and we leave, it's going to take 3 years for me to come back and give you a cure.
Right.
And,
no,
I don't know. I believe him more than Vicus. If Vicus was, like, giving him a line of bullshit, I wouldn't believe him.
I don't think that's what he said. I think he was saying, we will come back in 3 years. Like, them as a civilization, we will wage war on humanity. Kind of a thing. But I don't know. By the end of this movie, it kind of goes from 2 to 10. It's from the found footage thing, as we brought up before, into the Cronenberg slow burn kind of transitional aspect into like a full-on action movie. Like, it has a full-on action feel for like the last 20, 30 minutes of this movie. Maybe a little shorter, like 20 minutes. And it's kind of fucking awesome. It has that just that mecha feel or whatever. Like, so they shoot down the derelict spacecraft. There's that confrontation with the bald angry guy, the alien, and Vicus down there with the kid alien trying to get back up again after it was shot down the first time by a missile system that definitely doesn't exist because they can't afford it. And I don't know. It just goes from 2 to 10 at that point. Everything feels like Mad Max, kind of, just the absurdity of how much it escalates over that time. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, the bald angry guy has the gun in the alien's face for about 15 minutes before Vicus can get the alien spacecraft up in the air.
That's like movie shit, though.
I know.
Like, you have to give them that time. It's movie time. Like,
just like, it's crazy to me.
When there's like countdowns in movies, and it's like 3, and then like 10 minutes later, it's like 2, 1. Yeah. It's kind of like that.
Permitted.
I mean, yeah.
But then it spends the whole time before, obviously, Vicus realizes his DNA works, the mecha suit or whatever the fuck, where he gets waylaid by the voodoo gang from Predator 2. And that's scary for anybody, I will admit. It's fucking wild. And then you have the paramilitary fucking nonsense dudes out there just trying to take that. I don't know. The last half of the movie is like typical 80s action movie where nothing really makes sense, but it's exciting, so you want to go with it.
Dude, can I just say that the fucking like mothership in the background of like every shot of this movie,
yeah, just looming over Johannesburg,
still fucking looks amazing.
Oh yeah,
it looks so good. It just looks so real.
Yeah,
like I believe that's there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
No, it's fantastic, and then it's contrasted by the voodoo gang from Predator 2.
Oh, but dude, I love like the alien technology. It's just fucking sucking up all the bullets. In that one part when they're all shooting at the whatever you want to call it, like mecha suit, and then it just Dude, it's so fucking good.
Yeah, just fires it back at all of them.
This is like RoboCop shit because
Yes.
it like the mecha suit is like the Ed 209 or whatever. Like, you know.
Absolutely. No, it's cool.
It's so good.
It's definitely cool. Everything.
This movie's fucking great. Is basically what I want to say. I'm drunk right now. This movie's amazing.
Would you recommend this movie then? If you haven't seen it, watch it. But if you've seen it, would you?
Oh yeah, Jake, I'll do what you told me to do. Like and subscribe. Ron Reviews. If you like listening to two fucking drunk idiots talk about some shit,
this is it.
Subscribe. Hit the fucking notifications. No, for real though. We have some fun here. We have a lot more fun than most people. Get in on it. We're gonna do. Hopefully soon we'll figure out how to do like live streams. Everybody can come in. No, for real though, it'd be cool to like have some people come in on it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of like, you know, there's probably like 4 or 5 people that have been listening to my channel for a little while. If they want to come in on a live stream, they deserve to come in.
Yeah, we know.
Hang out
for sure. I don't know. The last few minutes of this movie are pretty cool.
Oh my god, it's great. But I love how you notice how now it's just not a like it's not a found footage documentary style. Now it's just a real movie. But you know what's cool is it's seamless because you're getting news footage and stuff, and
so it kind of just like it was at the beginning. So. Yeah. It goes from the found footage thing into the body horror thing into the second act, and now it's transitioning back from the body horror action back into what it was at the beginning, where it's reasserting itself in a weird way of context.
Right.
You know, it's not so much about what's going on with Vicus or the alien. It's more about the people's interpretation about what's going on around them. And how that might be realistic, and so that's kind of cool.
And the cool thing is, like the main alien guys getting literally tortured by the main bad guy, I guess you want to call him. And
yeah,
this is literally the moment where Vicus goes into the mech suit, basically, and is I'm gonna save now he's my friend. And this goes, no, for real though, it goes past the I'm a dickhead and we're just using each other like we were talking about. And now he's just, this guy's got a kid. I'm gonna make a decision here. And I'm gonna fight off these fuckers.
See,
and that's great, dude. That's great.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I had a slightly different interpretation. I still think he's a total dickhead at this point. I just think he's a dickhead that had a near-death experience by the gang from fucking Predator 2, and now he has a mecha suit, and now he has some sort of power to assert. He can put up some kind of fight, and that's kind of what happens. But I guess they inevitably lose. Like the both of them lose. Nobody really wins in this movie. You know, like the main alien gets away. He gets into the craft and it kind of takes off.
No, but I love it. He gets into the mech suit and he kind of pussies out.
Well, that's it. Because he's a coward.
And I love the Prawn's like, oh, fuck. He's like, I thought he was going to help me, but damn it. Whatever.
Yeah, and he pussies out again. It's the second time in the movie.
No, dude, but then here's the moment where he's just like, I'm going to fucking, you know what? I'm going to do something about this. Which is great, dude.
No, that's his last hope. You know what I mean? Like that's where he needs to go to turn into the human again that his wife will accept and take back home. Not him trying to help aliens. I don't think. It has nothing to fucking do with the aliens.
Dude, I remember being in the theater. I was like, fuck yes. He's coming back in a mech suit. He's like, I'm going to kill all you fuckers.
Doesn't this feel like the end of Alien 2, or Aliens? When she gets in the mecha suit and she fights the alien queen.
Once again, I'm sure there's a little bit of inspiration there.
It feels like that.
It's great, dude. Like, what he literally says, I'm going to get you to your boy. It's like, let's go. Let's fucking go, dude. Perhaps. It's the power duo of the century. Perhaps. And people just don't, want to talk about it.
That might be true.
Because they're like, oh my god, like think of like I don't know, something popular. So like, I hate when people are like, name a better duo. I'll wait. It's like anybody than what you're talking about.
Almost anyone.
Just anyone else than what
Starsky
you're talking
and
about.
Hutch.
Yeah, Starsky. Name a better duo. I'll wait. Or dude, I remember there was like a fucking VMA Awards, which was hysterical. It was remember like The Weeknd or whatever?
Oh yeah.
It was him and Daft Punk, and I kind of like Daft Punk, whatever. But they're like, name a better trio. And I literally was like, the Three Stooges? Like,
well, the Three
I
Stooges
can
are
name
the
one like
best trio.
immediately. I can
How
name
dare
one.
you? Absolutely. Three Stooges.
It's such a stupid thing to say on the internet. Name a better trio. I dare you. It's like, I could do it. I could name 10.
All day. All day.
Fucking idiots.
I just like how visceral some of the action was in it. Like it was, it had the typical cinematic approach of a movie of that time, where it was kind of, it's a Sam Raimi thing, where it's a bunch of shortcuts. Everything kind of has an impact. There's some energy to it, but it was visceral as fuck when they had the, I guess the punchline of the joke. So if he's shooting off the fucking hand cannon he has on this mecha suit or whatever, it's like blowing up the heads of the snipers and shit like that, and you can see like the spatter and the spray coming back on the camera and shit. They're just way more visceral than what you might get in a typical action movie, and I like that. Like, and that was balanced out by the rest of the fucking movie. It's not really a typical movie. It was done in a weird way, which I guess was what made it interesting for somebody like Peter Jackson or something.
I just really think at the end of the day, he really did redeem himself, because he literally says to the prawn, he says, I'm going to hold them off. You go, get your son out of here.
Right.
And, whatever happens to me, happens to me. That, to me, is like, honestly, he knows there's a really good chance he's going to die. To me, that is the signal of like, I'm sacrificing myself, for someone else, which is a good deed. And then the prawn says, 3 years, I promise. Like, I'll get you back to where you are.
But do you think Vicus set out to sacrifice himself, or that he realized he was sacrificing himself as he was in the midst of sacrificing himself? You know what I mean? I still think he's a victim. He's somebody who came up with the decision in his mind, Jake, because of his circumstances, not because he set out to do that.
He threw a pig at a guy.
One of the most epic deaths in any movie ever.
I love how you just changed it. I'm like, but
death by pig.
I just went Chappelle. I was like, he made Thriller. No, but I love the gun on that, where it just literally eviscerates someone. Like, if he shoots a guy, he's just gonna there's nothing left of him. It's not like he's just gonna be a bullet hole. Like, ow, no. I'm dead.
Yeah, no, you're fucked. You're not dead. You're fucked.
I love it, and I love this unknown technology. Fucking dude, it's so good. It's so good.
But another question for me is, why is the command hub, this main ship, the control module for this mothership, why is it detachable? And why don't they have a failsafe for if they get back up there?
Jake, get the fuck out of here. Stop asking fucking questions. This is good.
Doesn't make any sense.
Get out of your house. Get out of your own house.
I'm going to leave right now. My own
Get
home.
out. I'm staying here tonight.
I'm gone.
I'll give you my keys. Go home to Kim.
I guess
She'll be very happy.
Yep. I'm going to sleep on your couch, cuz.
Just say, hey, I'm going to sleep here tonight. I'm going to sleep on the couch. Rob is going to sleep at my house. She's like, what?
Okay.
Oh, my God. All the listeners are just listening to the decline of my life.
Definitely. Ron's wife is very mad at him.
Why? Because I'm watching a movie with my friend?
Exactly. You're hanging out with your friend on a night off. No, it's just weird. Isn't it funny how all the trucks in this movie all have like animal prints on them?
Dude, that's the best when alright, so when the main bad guy shoots the fucking missile to try to, shoot down the
RPG,
crowd.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm talking about, like redemption, dude. Vicus catches it with the mech suit. It's fucking brilliant. Dude,
is
this
that
movie's
just
great, dude.
bravery? Like, finally, a coward finally became a little brave and fucking did something out of
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't think that's
point,
redemption.
Man.
I think he just finally kind of turned into a halfway passable human being.
All right, so you know when the ship is going up into the mothership?
Yes.
You got to make a cut on YouTube where it's just like, what's his name? Randy Quaid, or whatever. Hello, boys! I'm back!
It's fucking crazy to me.
That looks great, dude. It's like better than...
No, it's great.
That's better than most, stupid CGI now. Even actually the creatures.
Where the money went. You can see where the money went.
And even the mech suit looks like somebody controlling it. You could see the little mannerisms. No, it's good.
Shit. It's obviously kind of primitive. It has that late 2000. Oh, not late 2000. Whatever. Like 2008, 2009, 2010 kind of feel to the CGI. But at the same time, it feels like the Weta Workshop fucking. Right. I don't know their approach to it, which was really fucking fantastic, dude. Like they kind of set the bar. And they have an interesting history, dude. That they started way back when, with Hercules, the legendary journey with fucking Kevin Sorbo back in like the 90s. Just then it went in with Peter Jackson after that. They pretty much stole their whole crew, and it turned into what the Lord of the Rings was. And it's interesting to see something like Wingnut specifically, because Weta works on a bunch of movies. Like they're crazy. New Zealand is prolific as fuck with special effects. Kind of like not the same impact as somebody like Tom Savini or Rick Baker or Greg Nicotero.
You mean Kenny Baker?
Oh, Kenny Baker.
That's a little lore for my channel.
But it's interesting. The whole aspect, it's his Peter Jackson thing. That's kind of cool. You don't really see him producing many other directors' films quite like he did something like this back then. Mm-hmm. It was kind of a Guillermo del Toro kind of a approach, I think, from his perspective. Again, right. I have no idea. But I don't know. It's a weird fucking movie, but it's super good. But I kind of like Prometheus. If you can get past the fact that it doesn't make any fucking sense, you're in for a good time.
Yeah, but I mean, like, this whole thing was great, though. It's like, he sacrificed himself, but at the end of the day, he's now, whether he likes it or not, he's one of the prawns. So
right,
they're gonna kind of retaliate against.
That's where I think he realized he was finally sympathetic. Like he was finally something you could understand. Like he wasn't just in it for himself. He knew he was fucked.
Right.
And it's weird. It's a crazy evolution of a shitty person turning into a humble person.
That's what's so great about it, man. Like, that would never happen to me because I could never be turned.
No, ever.
It's like, Rob, how can we humble you? It's like, you can't.
Nope. That's right. Again, a great movie. For sure.
Yeah, so, the aliens fucking get home. They fucking do it.
Think so? You think they'll ever come back, though? Because they promised 3 years. They promised 3 years, and everybody thought that was the sequel promise.
Really? Yeah.
2009. We thought we were getting that 2011, 2012 fucking District 10 or whatever the fuck. Yeah. And it did not deliver. We got boned.
Honestly, I'm glad it never happened because for some reason, there's like no... I don't know. If something comes out nowadays, it's just not going to be good, no matter who it is. So it's just... Maybe it's just better that this is the movie and that's it.
You think so?
Yeah. As much as I want a sequel to this, back in the day, I was like, I want fucking District 10. Like, even though that makes no sense. It's like... Well, who's going to just put him back in District 9?
That was before the concept of the MCU and or kind of Star Wars started all that shit with the franchising and what something like that could become. But when Iron Man came out, that finally jump-started the MCU kind of thing, and they franchised it or whatever. They turned it into something, a huge continuity, but for films. I think Blomkamp could have done something like that, like what Alien did. You know what I mean? Where they had those handful of movies, the Prometheus, Aliens, and he could have did something like that for District 9. We could have got a District 10.
He should have done it right after this, though.
Right, but deliver on the 3 years.
It's too late.
You know, and no, we got boned. If we get another one, it's like, fuck him. It's going to be, no. I will talk shit.
It's too late. It's too late because I just don't know what, I just don't know what happens to directors. Like, they get, I don't know, like, they're too fucking, I don't know.
It's a weird thing. But
there's too much studio interference.
Yeah, I don't know what he had the failed Alien movie. Mm-hmm. I think he was supposed to make an Alien movie with Sigourney Weaver, and that fell through.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of those mythical fucking movies. I don't know. I think we could have got a lot more out of somebody like Blomkamp. And nothing was delivered. I don't know if it was on a studio end or on his end, in terms of creativity or anything like that. I'm not quite sure, but all of his movies after this that I've seen, garbage.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, where did it all go wrong? It's like, I don't know. Is that how it is with some creative people? Like, you get one good thing, and then after that, it's just shit.
It's, I guess it's the whole auteur thing. So somebody that thinks they're creative enough to write the story and try and portray the story. And I don't know if he's somebody that really stacks up to somebody like that. Somebody has a keen eye for his aesthetic, but not for storytelling like Tarantino or somebody in that vein, you know?
Dude, but he had the vision. Like, this was so good, like I said, with the designs and just the way this whole story was crafted, whatever. But honestly, I mean, fucking amazing, to me at least.
It's a good movie.
This movie blew me away in theaters.
Oh, absolutely.
You get the bittersweet ending. It's Vic is pretty much turns into a full prawn. His wife is still holding out hope, and it's just kind of like,
his wife's bonable, by the way.
Oh, Jake. Okay.
No,
I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it.
You know you would.
Definitely.
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 All right.
But here's the thing, that like, he's a full fucking prawn at the end of it, and then the other prawn that was his friend throughout this whole movie says, 3 years, I'm gonna fucking help you out. Right?
Bullshit, fucking promise, but yes,
and that's the end of it. So it's like, where do we go from there? So here's the thing:
cast in alphabetical order.
I'll be honest. It would be cool if there was a sequel because of that, like the whole 3 years thing. I'm gonna come back. That'd be cool. I just don't trust anyone to actually make that movie. So let's just be thankful that we got this good movie, and let's keep it at that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So, Jake,
thank you for sitting in with me in your own house.
Hey, man, that was good. It's been fun talking about this movie.
It's been very fun, and definitely let us know in the comments what you guys think about this.
That's it, man. Well, hey, man.
Till
next time. It's been good. It's been real. It's been fun.
It's been good. And we'll see you next time for whatever the hell we're talking about. It's definitely going to be another science fiction movie, I'll tell you that much. And have a good night, guys. And we'll see you next time.
Said see ya!
Hey everyone, it's Ron here with a quick announcement. When I started this channel, I was reading and reviewing the Dune books and other sci-fi related material. And most of you might not know that I'm also a musician. So when I was reading these sci-fi books, I started to get inspired and decided to make my own soundtrack to use for my videos, and now I'm excited to tell you all about the first volume in the Ron Reviews original soundtrack collection.
This album includes the first 17 tracks featured on my channel, and it's available now exclusively on Bandcamp. Be sure to check the description of this video for the link to the album. Thanks so much for the support so far. I know I'm just starting out, but I hope you're having as much fun as I am. So check out the original soundtrack Volume 1 on Bandcamp. This music is great if you want something moody and atmospheric to listen to while you're reading some science fiction. I think you're going to love it. Thanks.